Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about user-friendly and time efficient survey testing. We will today be talking about the collaboration between Nebuta Interviewer and SurveyTester. Throughout the webinar, you will be able to post your question or comments in the chat window that is provided by YouTube. However, we furthermore recommend that you switch your YouTube video to full screen, as some text might be too small to read if you don't go full screen. My name is Marco Schmidt. I'm for 10 years with Nebu now, and in the position of an interactive media specialist means that I'm mainly focused on front-end solutions for clients. And together with me today is my lovely colleague from 2x4, Siri Kulashi.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for finding the time to join today's webinar. Thank you for the introduction there, Marco. I will begin with a small introduction about 2x4 and myself. So I am Siri Kulashi. I'm the UK General Manager for 2x4. To give you a brief history, 2x4 started back in 2006 with SurveyTester and has since evolved the technology throughout the years, with the last iteration primarily focusing on the user experience. The purpose of this partnership is to align our two products, Dub Interviewer and SurveyTester, for a seamless integration and switch between the two platforms within their respective environment. This is the goal. However, today we will be showcasing how Dub Interviewer and SurveyTester can optimize your workflow by working hand in hand together here with my colleague Marco. And I will now pass you on to my colleague Marco, who will be showcasing Dub Interviewer.
Hi, thanks. Let's quickly go through today's agenda. So like Siri already said, well, we've introduced ourselves. We will talk a bit more in detail about the definite goals for our companies and also for our clients specifically. Then I will give you a short introduction for the people that might not know the software yet, what the goals and the functionality of Dub Interviewer include. We will do the same for SurveyTester, look a bit at the software. And then we will go through a live survey, which we have created for the purpose of this webinar, where we've, hidden some smaller human errors, which SurveyTester is supposed to find. And Siri will show us how this will actually look from an end user perspective. And afterwards, like I said, we will be answering your questions or give comments to your remarks. So please feel free to use the chat throughout the video, because it might take some time until the chat reaches us. Okay, Nebu itself is basically basing this partnership with 2x4, like with many other providers that we try to integrate with our software. Nebu itself has 25 years of experience in creating surveys and data collection tools for market and opinion research. And our partner 2x4 is experienced with 11 years of actually developing the survey testing solution that we will see today. We are working closely together, our two development teams, to try to provide the maximum functionality on both ends. We've just started yet, so what you will see right now is the first step towards even more seamlessly integrated solution together with SurveyTester. We try to use our knowledge and our experience to make our products better. So we get the feedback from SurveyTester, for example, to improve our web front end. And the same is the other way around. As we see, we can very much learn from each other. And the whole thing will be an agile development. So your input is also very important to that, because basically both our developments are driven by the needs of our customers. So this collaboration here that you will see today is a process-driven approach, means that we show a whole workflow, a little bit shortened, of course, for the purpose of this webinar, but so that you can give yourself a picture of how the collaboration between Nebu and 2x4's SurveyTester would work. So, like I said, the goal for us would be, or well, for our clients maybe, would be higher response rates and completion rates, and that is for all our modes. So we're talking about KT, CAPI, WAPI, and of course also mixed and multi-mode. Adding SurveyTester on top of that will guarantee cost and time efficient quality assurance of the surveys that you create. It will allow you to communicate streamlined with other colleagues that are involved with this project. This can heavily increase the survey quality and also the efficiency in the whole production line. And in the end, this means that you have more effective projects and happier customers. Okay, let's take a look at Nebuta Interviewer in specific. Nebuta Interviewer is a data collection platform which allows you to basically do any kind of opinion or market research survey that you can imagine. You're very free with extensions, so there's a lot that you can build on top, and that makes the whole system so powerful. So our main goal, as you can see with the slogan, collect, manage, and utilize, is that we give you a powerful tool to collect your data, then to manage that data efficiently, and that means includes cleaning and deduping of data sets, merging data sets, and delivering samples or modeling the data throughout your process. And then, of course, the utilization of that data means that you can use it for statistical analysis or reporting. You can do for your clients any brand sentiments or emotion analysis. And of course, you can also translate the data into the insights that you need for your customers. The key benefits here is that you can create and manage KT online mobile service of any complexity level, and that directly from one platform. Surveys responsiveness is available straight out of the box, and you can use mixed or multi-mode interviewing to increase your response rates. So you're not limited to a single mode. You can analyze and recode your open-ended questions within the software. You can provide multi-language support for your survey. That means you can have the exact same survey with a translation for other languages instead of having multiple surveys where one language each is used. You can use complex routings in these surveys, including block rotations and other features which make it really efficient to create your surveys and push it out to your respondents. And of course, monitoring and coaching your interviewers is possible in the system, and that will increase your productivity even further. And lastly, you can of course manage the quota and the sampling rules for your surveys, so you guarantee only have the data that you really need. Now, I pass the ball to my colleague Siri, and he will talk about SurveyTester.
Thank you very much for that, Marco. And yes, so what I'm going to do is just quickly sort of share my screen here so that you can see the slides for SurveyTester. You should be able to see that right now. Cool. Okay, so SurveyTester is, of course, a sort of a core product or a solution from 2x4. But just before I get into sort of SurveyTester itself, I wanted to sort of talk more about 2x4 and what we do as a company. So 2x4 specialize in sort of bespoke solutions and services tailored around the market research industry. We work with a number of sort of range of different companies from market research agencies, sort of panel providers and survey technology providers like Nebu. And the idea is that we collaborate in partnership to sort of find challenges and then also provide a solution tailored to that. SurveyTester is one of those solutions, and the idea behind SurveyTester really started back in 2006. And it has sort of evolved, as I mentioned before, through different iterations of technology, especially around sort of the user experience side with the last iteration. SurveyTester is a sort of cloud-based platform which allows you to collaboratively work together with different internal and external teams, including your clients, to identify, resolve, and track issues on your surveys. This is all sort of prior to the surveys actually going live. The idea and the concept is based around saving you annual budgets and the man hours spent on the quality assurance and the testing side. There are sort of key benefits of SurveyTester that really make it as a powerful utility as a layer on top of what we have as a Dub Interviewer, which is sort of automating the survey logic so that you can actually test automatically by sending and crawling these spiders to find different paths, different flows of your survey, but also taking screenshots across a range of different devices, especially sort of real devices of iPhone, Android, tablets, and different browsers. So with this being said, we also scrape information to see how mobile friendly your surveys are. And this is giving you sort of an overall percentage to say, out of X amounts of specific sort of criterias, you rank 80% or 90% on your mobile optimization for this survey. And this is then sort of broken down by the different strict criteria that we have in place as to what actually consists of a sort of mobile optimized survey. We also keep all sort of the history of all changes on the survey, so you can always refer back. And this is a really sort of the benefit of involving the client throughout, where you're sort of providing transparency in this, and they can see the story of their sort of survey as it goes through different sort of criterias. Now, most of this stuff is sort of really revolving around the issues or sort of change requests that the client finds, and these are justifiable in there, as you can sort of see what's actually taking so long this month in comparison to last month and why the costs are suddenly higher. You can replicate a lot of sort of identified issues, so you can see those live, and then you also allows you to sort of control the look and feel of your survey across different and range of mobile devices. So without any sort of further ado, I've got a couple of screenshots here to show you how SurveyTester looks like. And this, as I said, is a cloud-based platform. In here, you're able to see sort of the pages and routing aspects, and then you can see the flow. We can definitely get into sort of a deeper dive when I actually demo this for you. But for now, what we're going to do is I'm going to pass you on back to Marco, who will be demonstrating Dub Interviewer.
Thank you. You should check your screen. I now shared my screen because your screen share wasn't working properly. But anyway,
okay.
I will show you now the survey that we created for this webinar. So I've brought it up here. With a demo that we discussed, we've made a very simple questionnaire here. So you can see a few questions, some end forms in between because you're screened out, a quota check form, which we won't go into much more detail today, and a block control here, and some conditional questions and a completion here. Let me go through the survey with you so that you can see it. It's a very, very simple survey where we added a few small items. So, oh, sorry, I was too slow. Okay, so here we are. So we have a small question about age, and as you can see here, for the purpose of finding it, I've disabled the category from 35 to 44, so it's not appearing in the survey here, as you can see. Yeah, and that's one of the human errors that SurveyTester is supposed to find. And you can see here we've introduced a small typo, so that is also something to find. And we have here the company name, which of course, if you look at respondents, that's a text area, and I guess you won't have a very, very long company name. So I would recommend, for example, a smaller field here. Of course, you need to provide an answer. Next up, some other questions. And we have some product icons here. And as you can see, Nebu Reporter was introduced twice. So it's using the same image, yet it's using another here. Yet it's using another item code here. So it's 3 and 7 are identical item codes with the same image. So let me go through here, and you see this is the block rotation where we ask several questions with the same type of answers, and the last question here. And this concludes the demo. So you see it's a very, very simple questionnaires with a few minor things like the typo we have here, like the missing age category, and like the type open-ended for a thing which should actually be a text answer. So, oh yeah, and of course the double product here. So you see it's a pretty straightforward and simple survey. And now let's see how SurveyTester would perform by testing this survey. Siri, would you share your screen again?
Yes, thank you very much for that. You should be able to see my screen now. Apologies if you couldn't see my screen earlier. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, looks good to me.
Cool, fantastic. Okay, so again, just to sort of reiterate, so those issues or sort of human errors were primarily sort of introduced on purpose, of course, just to sort of show that, these things can happen. And, to avoid these things, that's why we sort of have SurveyTester here to help you do that. And because, as Nebuta Interviewer provides a powerful platform and a sandbox for you to create things, sometimes things can go wrong depending on how you create things. This is not sort of directly from the Nebuta Interviewer software itself, but it's more sort of the human errors related side. So this is actually SurveyTester now. So you'll see exactly the same survey as Marco was actually showing. And you'll see that we have 3 buttons at the bottom and a bubble on the left-hand side. The idea of this is that you sort of increase efficiency by auto-answering and then also sort of auto-next, going on to the next question. So what you can see here is immediately we can see that it's missing. So this is an issue that we need to be it needs to be reported prior to the survey actually going live. So this is you actually seeing the survey prior to the respondent actually seeing the survey itself. Again, we're all about sort of increasing quality here, but at the same time increasing the efficiency of how quality assurance is around that. So in here, if we click, for example, the plus sign, you'll be able to see that we can actually annotate this and say this is where the issue is. Please resolve missing age band. And then we can say, for example, is this a translation issue, logic, change request, the wrong text? I think we'll call it a logic error, because if it's not there, it's going to cause trouble for the next question. Is this fixed? It's not. And what's the priority? Is high. So as soon as we add this, anyone who has access to SurveyTester, specifically this project, they will be immediately sort of notified as they are subscribed to this sort of project to say that there is one new issue that has actually popped up. And you'll also be able to see that on the bubble on the left-hand side where it says 1, meaning there's one issue that has been identified. Off we go to the next part. So again, we'll use this button, which is auto next, and it'll give us sort of something, a quicker response. Again, as there's a spelling mistake here, so what we'll do is we'll add another issue and then annotate it to say, please resolve spelling error. And then again, this could be a wrong text. This is not fixed. And again, we'll say this is a medium priority. So there are a couple of things happening in the background as you do this. Now, this is sort of the visual sort of testing aspect of SurveyTester. However, SurveyTester does provide a lot of functionality to actually boost efficiency in the background. There are 3 things happening in the background as you go through the survey. Number 1, SurveyTester is actually picking up on the logic as you go through the survey. It's actually learning. It's picking up all the question numbers, all the sort of the logic that you're going through the questionnaire. And for you to see this, you'll be able to see it right here, where you see the green path is our path, and then the gray path is other testers' paths, or what SurveyTester has actually managed to find during the testing period. So the frequency is really sort of the amount of test runs. So you can see, for example, we've got a sort of, started off at 11, dropped to 8, and then sort of back to 7. So this is just giving you sort of an idea of what you're sort of seeing post-design of your survey in comparison to what you should be expecting as to your original specs. The second thing that's happening in the background is as you go along these questions, so in here, for example, we'll go to the next part. SurveyTester is actually helping you take screenshots of these questions automatically in the background on a range of different devices selected by the project manager. Now, these, as I said before, these sort of range from either phones or tablets or different browsers. You name it, we have it. So the idea is that you can actually visually see how your surveys would look like on these devices prior to your survey going live. Now, if you manage sort of, if you imagine doing this manually, it would be taking you quite a long time to actually test one question across 20 different devices. So this is just giving you that extra boost there. The third thing that's happening is SurveyTester is actually scraping for information in the background to see how mobile optimized your surveys are. Again, as I mentioned before, Nebuta Interviewer is a very sort of powerful platform providing you a sandbox to create beautiful surveys. However, you can also customize your CSS there, and if you don't know what you're doing there, things could be looking quite wonky on different devices. So the idea is that use, of course, what Nebuta Interviewer provides as a default, which is perfect, works flawless, or you can modify it to your heart's content. However, you always have SurveyTester to actually see how mobile optimized your surveys are on that point. In here, again, I think we can classify this to be an issue. I think this box is pretty big for a company name, so we'll add some issue here, and we'll say we'll just add it right on top here. It doesn't have to be right at the box, and it will say, please resize the input fields. Again, this will be a layout error. It is not fixed, and therefore it's a low priority. So again, off we go to the next part. So you can see sort of how SurveyTester is actually working here, because you're working with the survey, but at the same time, the ability to see your survey as you go along testing it, and also annotating and keeping track of all those issues is definitely going to be less work in the long run. So the idea, of course, is to eliminate this back and forth of emails being thrown to fix issues, rather than where you have this one sort of confined area where all the issues have been captured, and you can always go back to and view them. On here, we have two logos. Like we mentioned before, again, what we'll do is immediately say, please remove this one here. Please remove the duplicate logo. And again, this will be a layout error. Of course, it's not fixed. And then I think this will be a high priority. Otherwise, people will get confused using something like this. And then we'll add it. So this is sort of really the end of phase one of the sort of my demo and SurveyTester's capabilities here. Phase two really begins sort of when you capture all this information in the background and how you manage all that information in the background, and showing you all those screenshots that is captured, etc. So what we'll do is we'll finish off here. We'll select a couple of things here, and then we'll quietly exit here, and then we'll go back to the control panel. In the control panel is where we call sort of the control hub of SurveyTester, where you'll be able to see all the issues that have been reported specifically for this survey. All of these, of course, have my name on there, and they're split by page. So you've got Q1, Q2, Q3, Q7, and so on and so forth. Of course, they all of them have sort of an issue type and a priority, whatnot. If you'd like to sort of, have this communication, as we said, it's a collaborative platform, so therefore it's a streamlined communication channel. You can always comment back and say, have to have this communication on the go here, but it's always stuck to this specific issue here. We provide sort of a various different functionalities here to improve this. So, for example, we provide a screenshot of where this issue is. We can also jump to page and recreate and repeat the exact same test run as it was originally sort of reported on. So if you imagine if you have a 70-question survey, and the issue has been reported on question number 68, it's going to take you quite a while to get there, whereas SurveyTester does it with a click of a button, because we save the answers that have been given during the testing period. So we can recreate and retest that entire thing for you. The beauty of this is that it leads you on to the next thing, which is the pages and routing. This is again showing you all the questions that it has found. You almost sort of find the unknown here. If there's a question, of course, missing here, then it hasn't been tested. So SurveyTester is really learning as you go along with the testing itself. So if we look at, for example, Q1, you'll immediately see that I've got a couple of devices here selected: Chrome, iPhone, etc. So we'll see, for example, how this looks on an iPhone. So an iPhone, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. If we can sort of see on iPad, however, I've got a very slow internet connection, so it's probably going to take quite a while to get there. So you can actually see, so for example, in Chrome, you'll be able to see this as well and how this looks like. So it'll save you a lot of time. I mean, if you look at this and sort of doing it in, question by question on different sort of questions, and it's going to take you, a substantial amount of time to do this manually. So on here, you'll be able to sort of see the full flow of the entire sort of survey itself, but also giving you an overall percentage of the mobile friendliness that I've talked about earlier. So you can actually see how friendly this survey is. So in this case, we've got 81% with strict criteria of minified JavaScript files, so on and so forth. That the more greens you have, the higher the percentage will be. And this really sort of tells you that, for any present devices and any future devices will be compatible with this survey. So you can validate these test runs as well. So you can see, for example, I've carried out numerous test runs here, and you can see how long they've been. For example, this test run here for myself has been for 7 minutes, and it's actually gone through with different sort of answers that I've picked. But you can validate, and see who's actually doing what they're supposed to do in that sense by seeing, if someone's doing, for example, a 37-second survey testing. It's not considered to be a quality test run. However, someone who's done a 7-minute or something more than that is considered to be a quality test run. So the idea is that as we said before, we provide this sort of solution for collaborative use, where you have your internal, external teams and your clients all working seamlessly together. We have a sort of a robust hierarchy in place, so that you can actually work with all clients, and all clients can have access to SurveyTester, but they can only see their own projects. So they cannot see each other's projects. So that concludes, I think, the demo for SurveyTester on my side and the issues that we found together here. So I will be passing you back to my colleague Marco.
Yes, thank you. So I've switched the screen again. Okay, so we've identified now the issues, and I got a very mad mail that I'm supposed to, well, continue with fixing those issues. So that's what I'm now going to do. So let me share my screen with the DubQuest instance here. And so we talked about the category here. So let me quickly fix that by removing the false attribute. Then we had the spelling error here. So let's quickly make it male. Then we had the company name, which was an open-ended. So let's make it a text question with, yeah, just leave it like that. It's okay. So let me add one item here. So that's company name. And we have the products here, where the second Nebu reporter is supposed to be removed, or, well, in this case, set to false, which has the same result. Okay, now let's quickly reload this survey. So, whoop. And let me pass the ball back to Siri so we can see that a new test run will actually work fine. Yeah, I will open the survey meanwhile. So we can see the age category is there. Oh, of course I need to answer. Then we've corrected the spelling mistake. We've made the company name field smaller. and we've removed the access item here. So everything is fixed. Now, Siri, let us see how that looks in SurveyTester.
Great, good stuff. Thank you very much for that. So as you saw there, Marco went ahead and completely sort of resolved those issues. However, for something, if I was sort of the client and I had visibility on this, I'd like to actually see what the story behind this is. So I can see that, there's issues that have been reported. However, I can then actually verify these by actually going in there and testing the survey again. So in here, you'll also be able to see the issues that we've reported earlier, and then you can mark them as fixed or not. So you can see this was missing earlier, now it's there. So this issue, fixed. Perfect. Now, if we go into the next part again, we'll select something else. Again, this issue here, fixed. So you can see anything that you change in Nebuta Interviewer automatically changes in SurveyTester. It automatically picks it up, so you don't have to do that again. We're all about sort of efficiency and the quality aspect of it. However, all of this is stored in the database, so it's easily justifiable to the client, as I mentioned before, as to what the delays were, what the issues were, and what the change requests were. So again, this is also fixed. Thank you very much. And off we go to the next part. So again, company name. So what I'd like to also talk about, as you can see, this is, all of these are fixed, and then we can easily close these now. What I also would like to talk to you about is the automatic test run. So I think those were 4 issues that we've resolved now, where SurveyTester actually allows you to automatically test your surveys. And by this, what I've done is, while Marco was actually sort of fixing those issues in the background, I've gone ahead and I've created my project 2, which is the equivalent of what we had previously. However, this is a brand new project on SurveyTester. There are no issues. There are no project sort of pages and routings. SurveyTester has absolutely no idea about this. It's never taken any screenshots. And what I'm going to do is, together with everyone else on the webinar, is select iPhone, I'll select iPad, I'll select Chrome, and maybe Internet Explorer 11. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to test the survey. However, this time it's not going to be manual. This time it's going to actually be automatic test runs. So while this is being done in the background, what I'd like to talk to you about is the ability of testing and the difference between the manual way of testing and the automatic way of testing. The manual way pretty much gives you access to sort of the visual aspect of your survey, so you can actually visually see what the issues are. You can annotate and you can report issues on the go, and you have those 3 fundamental elements working in the background for you to boost the efficiency by picking up the logic, taking screenshots, and scraping information for mobile optimization. However, with the automatic test run, it's pretty much doing all those 3 things at once for you, but you will not be able to sort of do the visual testing on that. The benefits of having an automatic test run is that this thing will actually run 5 times, as I said it on here, from beginning to end, probing the survey to find out if there are anything else in there that's hasn't picked up before. So if you imagine, it's actually using historical experience to do this, and as you can see, this is now done, and there's a bell on here to say that it's 5 automatic test runs have been actually completed. So if we go, for example, on pages and routing, it'll show you that it's found all of these on here. We'll see, for example, Q1. We can select on an iPhone, an iPad, sort of an Internet Explorer 11, and while these are loading of my super fast internet here, we can actually see that you have a mobile friendliness sort of percentage on here. So immediately you've got a screenshot. So it's very, very sort of efficient, very, very effective, increasing productivity as well. And then I guess with the next step, you can go ahead and test this manually. So I think this pretty much sort of concludes my sort of demo on SurveyTester on this side, where the issues have been deliberately made on there for the webinar's sake. And they've been resolved as we've gone along, and we've proven that by also closing those issues on my project here. And I will pass you back to Marco now.
Thank you. So what we've seen now with Nebuta Interviewer and SurveyTester in the collaboration is, like I said, the first step to a potentially deeper collaboration, which means that maybe there will also be connections from the software itself so that you don't work with two systems at the same time. But this is something that we will see for the future. For the current workflow, we are happy to introduce SurveyTester as one addition to your normal procedures, so you can really get efficient with complex surveys and also working together with bigger teams, getting feedback from your client, and many other things as well. So within our workflow that you start with a data collection by programming a questionnaire and designing the look and feel of it, and you put it out in any of the modes that we support. So any mode, you have a test with SurveyTester, you visualize the survey logic, and you can see communication errors or human errors within the survey. You can create comments and assign tasks, also in collaboration with different teams. And you can always replicate identified issues and view the histories of those changes, like Siri has already showed you. And last but not least, also the mobile friendliness is easily tested. So by all the different real devices that 2x4 uses for SurveyTester, you actually see a screenshot of the real device. So this is no emulator mode or whatever. And this is, of course, an advantage that brings you a lot further in your survey testing, as you might not have access to all those different devices in-house. For our further collaboration, it's about the IT services and support in our whole life cycle. So SurveyTester is taking a place of a big part of the testing and quality assurance of our Nebu lifecycle, as you can see here, and it integrates seamlessly, therefore, with the Nebuta Interviewer Data Hub platform and with the Nebu Reporter. So it is just one puzzle piece in a whole process flow that we can offer to our clients. Yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, we would now like to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please post them in the live chat now if you haven't done so already. And okay, so.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Okay. I think I've got a question here. So one of the questions is, will SurveyTester and Nebuta Interviewer sort of be integrated within their sort of respective environments? The answer is yes. So you'll be able to actually jump between the two platforms seamlessly very, very soon. So if you're using sort of the Nebuta Interviewer to create your beautiful surveys, you will be clicking a button to test that survey prior to it's going live, and then you can switch back to Nebuta Interviewer with the click of a button. So that you don't actually have to sort of log in two places at once and keep two different windows sort of open at once. We're going to be making that very, very sort of user friendly.
Yeah, maybe nice to mention here that it's also a good way of having communication with your client, so that your client can basically streamline his communication towards your survey quality, so that SurveyTester is also used for this purpose.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, as Mark was saying, so the whole thing is, the end clients are very sort of keen to see now how their surveys are actually tested. When you're sort of pushing out an X number of surveys out per week or per month, you have to get them out the door as quick as possible, so therefore the quality might slightly decrease. However, to keep it up to standards and up to the par, you would always sort of have SurveyTester as a top layer on there and providing that medium for end clients to actually interact with the surveys and with the people working on those surveys.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, the mobile friendliness was shown with 80%, and there were some issues outlined. If we will provide solutions for those issues. Yes, like I mentioned in the beginning, we are aiming for a very close collaboration between our two development teams. So also those insights that we now gained through those testing, specifically here targeting the minification of the CSS and JavaScript, is something that will be triggered within the next few releases from our side. So this is definitely something where we benefit from each other, and we're of course aiming for a 95 to 100% of mobile friendliness.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, the next question is sort of testing sort of strict screeners. Is SurveyTester able to test strict screeners with automatic test runs? With the next release, with the next new feature of SurveyTester, you'll be able to define a test case scenario. For example, I am interested in 30 to 33-year-olds living in Germany, driving a Mercedes-Benz. And what SurveyTester will do is pick that up and test it for you and show you the results of what it's found versus what you're expecting. So yes, the answer to that is it will be able to test strict screeners, and therefore it won't use sort of, completely just probe the survey back and forth and hopefully getting through different questions. However, with the test case scenarios, you'll actually be able to define that. Cool.
Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I mean, you can also contact us at any time if you have any questions, or if you're interested in testing the collaboration between Nebuta Interviewer and SurveyTester. So for this, you can contact us at 2by4@nebu.com, or you just go to www.nebu.com/2by4 to get more information about that. And this concludes our webinar for today. I want to thank again my colleague Siri Kulashi from 2by4, who has joined us today and explained what SurveyTester can do for you. And I hope you got some insights and you have some new, fresh ideas for the future of your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to speaking to you all. Thank you.
Bye-bye and have a nice evening.